Hey listeners, did you know that Yogi Triathlete offers endurance coaching for body and mind? We offer personalized training plans for endurance sports, wellness and mindset, nutrition and recovery guidance, and race preparation and strategy, all within the supportive community of Team Yogi Triathlete. So if you're ready to conquer your fitness goals and push your limits, our endurance coaches are ready to guide you on the journey to peak performance. Go to yogitriathlete.com today to set up your free 30-minute discovery call and embrace a future of strength, stamina, and achievement. Your goals, our experience, the perfect match for unstoppable success.
The mantra that I've been using the past few weeks has been act as if you have nothing to lose, and it's really shifted a lot of things in the way that I approach training and racing. It takes a willingness to fail. But in order to achieve those goals that we immediately deem as impossible, we must go beyond, we must transcend. And that's something I felt like I did on the day. I transcended my body, like I transcended it. I rose above what I was feeling. And I think that's what's necessary to have those performances that you know you can have, but you never have quite executed before. You have to transcend something, who you believe you are. And I think there was a moment on the bike that I really said I wanted to play with the big boys. Like I really wanted to feel what it was like to just put myself in what they call the hurt box and see what would happen. And surprise, surprise, I never thought I was in the hurt box, but I felt like I gave a strong effort, an effort that I'm capable of, and I feel like I also have more to give.
Hey, Yogi Triathlete community. Welcome back to the Yogi Triathlete podcast. I guess this is kind of like a special edition. I am here with our master of getting faster, BJ Gumkowski, our founder, our master coach, and someone who just had the race of his life at Ironman Lake Placid, placing third on the day, even though he did pass second at the Oval. I'm sure we'll get into that story. And Kona qualified again and really realized, I think, a lot of dreams throughout this day. And we just wanted to bring him on the show today to really answer two main questions, which is how do you qualify for Kona and what does it take? But before we get to those specific ones, and I think you're going to be answering them all along, right? Because it's never just one thing, it's a ton of things, is number one, welcome to the show, Beej. And number two, were you feeling anything before this race you're a pretty intuitive guy. Were you feeling anything before this race that would lead you to think that something amazing was going to happen?
For sure. First of all, yeah, it's so good to actually be having this conversation about qualifying for Kona. Like, it's really cool that we can sit down and just chat about this. It's something we have both been invested in for years, decades, and we're starting to see that come to fruition. But it didn't just happen overnight. I think that's where things get a little confused. It takes a lot of time, and what a lot of people haven't seen who don't know me or are not following us is like it took a long time. It took a very long time. I was thinking back to Craig Howie, our first coach, who I remember at Vineman, my first half Ironman in 2005, we went to awards and roll down. And he said, you have to be there. You have to be there in case it happens, because people that don't show don't go. You have to put yourself in that position to be there. So that's when we started to go to all the roll downs. I just went, even if I was like 56th place and there was no shot, I would just kept going, because in that energy, you start to create what you really want to achieve. You're matching yourself with that energy level. Greatness. And so, yeah, I did have a hit. And I tried to find the post, and maybe I didn't do a post. Maybe it was a story on Instagram. But I felt something big was happening. I don't know what it was. I had no details on it. And I guess that's why, the mind wants to sink its fingers into that, because it wants to know why. But all I knew was that there was something big that was going to happen. I didn't know what it was. And I was really okay with that. I was really okay with it. And I think over the past, and we've been talking about this with our meditation teacher, Meditator Bob, MB, that my belief has reached a new level over the past, 6 to 12 months. And I can't pinpoint it to any one particular thing that has increased it. I just think the repetition of the words that I use, the time that I spend in the morning sifting and sorting thoughts, and the actions I take to execute what I want to achieve in my life, what I want to pursue, these dreams I want to bring into manifestation, it is finally tipping the scale. And so my trust and belief is super high, super strong. And so I'm feeding that. And yeah, I think that's an important piece. There's the training aspect of things, which you have to do. And especially as an aging athlete, I'm 51 now. There's things I have to do every day, mobility every day, eat well every day, get good sleep every day. There's things I need to do, but it's fun. It's fun. And I enjoy it.
For this race specifically, going into it, this is your second Ironman of the year of 2024. Your first Ironman, we've kind of just summed up as atrocious at Ironman Texas.
But the training was phenomenal.
The training was phenomenal. The performance was atrocious. I guess I'm going to lead right into this question, and then you go from there right into the race of your life. And so, I remember when you came back, like we processed the situation that went down in Texas, and we identified that you had some nutritional deficiencies, but you were really good at you gave it a couple days. I gave it a couple days because I was also feeling the disappointment. I was also feeling like, how did I don't understand? How did you mess up your nutrition? How were you underfueled? I had to process it too. And then you were just all eyes on Lake Placid. We were both Lake Placid, 100% focus forward. So what did you take from Texas that you shifted or changed, lessons learned that you put into action leading into Lake Placid?
Well, number one was just to be aware of the course. Just to be really how is the course laid out? What's changed in Lake Placid? What are the twists and turns? And I know that course really well because we spent a lot of time. We've talked about this many times before, but there were some small changes to it. And I had some people send me video of the actual bike course changes because they went out and drove it for me. And then the run course, I checked it out, the days before. So I really knew what I was getting into. And then I think another aspect I took away was I was committed. I was just, I don't know if I was as focused. I was kind of out of it a little bit on the run in Texas to start. And I wanted to be sharp in Placid. I wanted to be all in. This is my go for it. And so I guess it was a mindset shift. And then of course, nutrition. And then we talked about that. Nutrition was a big fail at Texas. And I made some changes, put it into practice in training, and then executed in Massachusetts at a warm-up race and had an amazing half marathon, my fastest half marathon at 51, half Ironman at 51, and then took that momentum for another 5 or 6 weeks and really did some focused sessions leading into Placid. Not volume, not overindulging, just really key sessions to capitalize on the fitness I had built in Texas, because it wasn't a total loss. I still did a lot of training and built a lot of fitness. And then the success I had in Massachusetts, and took that momentum in those final weeks into Placid.
What were the changes you made with nutrition from Texas to Placid?
I started to boost my calorie intake and carbohydrate intake on the bike. I got the inspiration from our conversation with Penny Slater, who had what did she do in Texas? Second place. And we were talking about fueling, and it just really resonated. I was like, I need to boost up. I need to start reaching limits. I've been at 250 calories every hour, blah, 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 for so long. I needed to just really up it. So I trained my body using a new formula, Blank Nutrition, which we had Eli Hemming on the podcast, and he introduced us to Blank Nutrition, and tested it out and loved it. Absolutely loved it. I was craving going out for long rides because I could taste that blue raspberry flavor, which is so amazing. So yeah, I boosted up my intake on the bike from 250 calories per hour to 400 calories per hour, and from 59 grams of carbs per hour to 100 grams of carbs per hour. Yeah, that's simply what I did.
What was like the biggest or most grueling workout training session that you did practicing this nutrition leading into Placid?
It was that 2-loop bike ride. This was the key session. I decided not to go to Palomar, my wonderful mountain that I love, and I decided to do 2 56-mile loops from my house, which roughly would give me 6,000 feet of elevation, which is roughly what you get in Placid. I think it's 7,000 in Placid. And it was 2 loops, so I could stop at home and refuel. And and you're doing 2 loops, which gets that mind to say like, oh, I got to go do it all again, the whole thing again. So I did that bike ride, and it was pretty warm out there out in the east. Used my nutrition, got back. I think I did it in about 6 hours, maybe just a little over 6 hours. And then I did 2. No, I didn't do 2. You made me go out and do 3. You didn't make me do anything. You strongly encouraged me to get out of the house.
I planted a seed. You
did.
I might have said your competition is going out there. The guy who's going to win your age group is out there right now doing 3 loops.
For sure. Truth bomb dropped. Headed out for a 2.5-mile loop I have here, and I stopped at home to just grab some water because I didn't want to carry anything. Although I did carry my soft flask, which is what I used on race day. So I went out at those 3 loops, and ran 15 seconds faster than I wanted to target at Placid. So I ran those at 7 to 7:15 per mile.
Now, some people might say like, okay, that was a solid bike, but you only ran,
8 miles.
You ran 8 miles off the bike. Like at an Ironman, you got to run 18 more miles than that. But I think you were close to the race at that point, right?
You were like 2 weeks out.
You were 2 weeks out. So, but what is, as a coach, like, that was a huge ride, right? So it's like is there a degree where you can cook yourself a bit on the bike without having as much repercussion than going out and doing like an 18-mile run 2 weeks before the race? That would have way more impact and detriment on your race performance.
Yeah, I think in that particular instance, the weekend before, I tried to do 20 miles and I got to 14 or 16 and it was not feeling good at all. And I stopped. I was like cutting it short. And then I took the next day as rest, where I normally would continue on. And then I took that week light and really set myself up for a successful weekend doing that long workout. So I think that was important. That was an important thing to put into practice. But yeah, you can overcook yourself. And I feel like, I know running is hard on the body. If you're not consistently running 90 minutes as your long run for a long period of time, and then you go up and do 2.5 hours, you're going to feel the repercussion of that. You're going to be more fatigued. Your muscles are going to be more torn. It's going to take you longer to recover. But if you consistently build yourself up to that, yeah, you can get benefits from it. I just didn't have a timeline to do that. So when I saw that 14 to 16, I can't remember what I reached, I was like, okay, that's enough for my long run. I can carry the fitness that I took on in Texas and all the bike rides that I did do up Palomar, because I started to do that when I got back from Texas. And then the Thursday-Saturday combination, where Thursday I was riding Palomar and then running 30 minutes, 40 minutes off, and then Saturday going up Palomar and running 45 minutes off the bike, really focusing on the brick sessions and the long rides. And so this is why you need to ebb and flow and feel into the workout sessions of what's necessary and what maybe is pushing a little too much. Dipping your toes into the overreaching. And I didn't feel like I needed to overreach. I actually was more conservative in this build in Placid than I was into Texas. Texas, I was going after it. I remember going down to Fiesta and doing intervals 10 times 1K, like really pushing it. This one I didn't push.
But all of that was a part of this training, right? And so that's the thing. Like, without that, would you have had the race you had on Sunday? Like, you just don't know. So it's race by race, and what is the course, and where are my opportunities to get stronger, and what do I really need to focus on this block? But those sets down at Fiesta helped you.
Yeah, because I had never done them before. Right.
And I bet you were in aero more in Placid because of what you trained yourself to do for Texas.
I was so surprised how much in Placid I was in aero. I haven't done this course since 2015. So, the memory isn't very reliable.
But the whole backside, like by Whiteface, you can be in aero for a lot of that.
I remember Patrick McCran said that long ago. You just carry yourself up over these rollers and stay in aero, and then you can carry the momentum down, and you don't really have to get out of aero.
So for this race, do you feel like you were overcooked, undercooked, or like perfectly cooked?
I would say undercooked to perfectly cooked. Undercooked. I was not overcooked. Undercooked to right where I needed to be.
Perfect. All right, let's see. So we talked about a bit about your nutrition. You executed it well on the day. 400 calories an hour, 100 carbs an hour.
Right
your
stuff.
Pre-race breakfast, which I just let's just go through it. Let's just do it. I know we've done it so many times, but like somebody might be listening to this for the first time, and it's super important. So let's wrap up this nutrition piece. Tell us what you ate. Just do it. Just go through the whole thing, because it's magic, and we've been using it for a long time.
I have not changed anything in years.
Okay.
In years.
Let's start with just go through it.
Thursday night, white rice, avocado, salt. That's dinner. Lots of it. Actually, no, that's Friday night. Sorry. Friday night. Well, let's back up. Could be Thursday night too. Friday morning, I had just a normal, I think I just had, I can't remember what I had. Toast with peanut butter and banana, because that's kind of like the last meal before I get into the programs. Friday for lunch, tempeh sandwich with some Bragg's liquid aminos on it, with nutritional yeast in a white pita bread pocket and mustard. That's what I had for lunch. Dinner, white rice, avocado, and salt. And then in between lunch and dinner, snack on some pretzels. Saturday morning for breakfast, pancakes. Eat a ton of pancakes till you can't eat any more. We have a 4-ingredient, very healthy pancake mix, a recipe that we put together. We've been using that for years. I had two servings of pancakes. Usually I make 2 servings for you and I. I had the whole
That's
thing
a lot.
myself.
So what's that, like 10 pancakes?
Yeah, probably 10 pancakes.
Yeah, that's a lot of pancakes.
Then I was burping them up. We swam afterwards, so I was definitely burping them up in the swim.
Nice.
Which is a good sign. And then I had a whole water bottle of Guru Octane drink. And then for lunch, tempeh, pita, mustard, liquid aminos, pretzels all afternoon, dinner, a little bit of a smaller helping of white rice, and avocado and salt.
Sunday morning?
Applesauce, 1 scoop of vegan Orgain vanilla protein powder, mixed together with 1 full banana and a whole water bottle of, I think I used Blank Nutrition this time.
Yeah. And then before the swim?
I had half a banana about 30 minutes before the swim. And then 15 minutes before the swim, I had a gel. And that was it.
And then we know what your bike nutrition was, 400
plus
calories.
The right stuff. And I used 1 packet of right stuff in every water bottle. That is one thing I would have changed. It's 1,780 milligrams plus the 200 milligrams that are from the Blank Nutrition. So almost 2,000 per water bottle. I think that's way too much now that I look back. Although, I had the best race.
Yeah.
So you could say like...
Yeah, why do you think it was too much?
Because after I finished 2 water bottles, I was feeling like things were closing in on my vision.
Your body was trying to find a place for all the salt.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a super hot day.
To start.
Oh, but then it's so placid, right? And then it got hot.
The sun would come out, it would get warm, and then it would go away. Like it wasn't the typical super oppressive heat. But it still was pretty warm at times. So what I've done differently is probably put half a packet in each.
So you said there's 200
milligrams.
Yeah. Can you do it where there's less in the formula that you get?
You can customize. You can customize.
So you can fool around with that. All right. So
I haven't played around with that with Blank Nutrition yet. I just using their regular high carb mixture.
And then, did you take SIS gels? Because that is another
Not
new
on the bike.
piece. Okay, so all liquid calories on the bike.
All liquid, except for mile 90, I took half a banana.
Okay, and then talk to us about Run Nutrition. What happened?
Run Nutrition, I had 4 SIS gels, and I took them in. I have the notes here. I took it in at mile 3, 6, 10, and 15. Not what I planned. I planned to take them in every 3 miles, but it just didn't work out that way. I just wasn't feeling it. The SIS gels went down really well, though, like extremely well. And I used those in Massachusetts. I used 1 on the run, and I wish I would have used 2 because I think that would have been extremely helpful. So that's something I learned. But I took 4 with me, and then I supplemented with cola and water on the course. And I also had my soft flask that I ran with, which had 1 serving of Blank Nutrition. So 400 calories and 100 grams of carbs and 1 packet of Right Stuff. And I just sipped on it. I didn't drink it at all. I never drank it. I just sipped it. Every mile I would sip it. I just felt like I just needed to keep adding sodium, add a little bit of calories. And that worked well until mile, I think 13 or 14. And then I kind of just put the flask behind in my back pocket. I was done with it.
And at that point, did you move to Coke?
Coke. And then I did, which I've never done, at mile 23, I took a Martin gel because I wanted to finish. I didn't want to do what I did in Massachusetts, which is don't take nutrition. I wanted to fuel all the way to the end. Yeah.
Well, you just posted a reel today. If you guys haven't checked it out, get over to BJ's page on Instagram, Brian Gumkowski, and check out the reel of him running with a half mile basically to go. You look amazing. You look light. You look like a gazelle. You look mobile, you look fast, and you're chasing down second place at that point. So yes. Get over there and check it out. And if you're not following Beach, get over there and follow him. Let's talk about, and then we got to move on, is after the race, how soon did you eat? Were you feeling okay?
I was not feeling okay. I did not eat.
Okay, that's good. I was not feeling okay. I did not eat.
I sat down.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't.
I just couldn't eat. It just didn't feel good. I drank a little bit of water. Just didn't feel good. I tried some French fries. I had 3 French fries, and that was all.
All right, let's talk about key moments of support and direction that you had during this race. So another part of what it takes and how to qualify is what really helped you is, according to what you're telling me, is you had some pretty key people, from different eras of your life, super high quality people that knew how to help you race this race that were out there. So what were some of those key moments, and who were those people?
Well, the first 2 legs were me, just keeping track of time, which I don't normally really focus on. But when you're going for Kona Qualification, you have to keep it in your awareness and be mindful of what's your relationship to seeing those numbers. So when I saw 32 after the first loop of the swim, I knew that I had to just keep that.
How did you know you were 32?
No, I hit 32 minutes.
Hit 30. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then I just knew I had to maintain that effort or slightly more on the second loop. And then on the bike, I knew when I got to the halfway point, the special needs, I was at 2:45. And I'm that's a 5:30 bike on this course. That's legit for me. It's if I can double that, because I didn't feel I went too hard on the bike, but I also feel like I didn't go too easy. So if I could just keep this going for another 2.5 hours, I can get into a 5. And you have to think about attrition. You're going to go slower. So I did a 5:37 bike. So I only went 6 minutes slower on the second loop, roughly.
But something happened at special needs that lit your fire.
Well, yes.
Which is also a form of support that people didn't even realize they were giving you.
So amazing. Coming up by the tennis courts, before you make that left turn down to the Olympic Center where you get your special needs, there's a commentator there with a loudspeaker, and he's calling the people go by. And I'm about to go up there, and the guy in front of me, he yells, Ben Saunders from whatever, Darien, Connecticut. And I go, no, and the announcer was like, BJ Gumkowski, Carlsbad, California. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm just laughing to myself, and I spoke to myself. I said, okay, it's on.
Why? Because who's Ben Saunders?
So Ben Saunders is the guy who I always see at races. I cheer him on at races. Even one time he was like, who are you? I kept like cheering him. Do I know you? It's funny.
He probably still doesn't know you, and here we are talking about the podcast. But he's somebody that keeps showing up, and up until Sunday was beating you at races.
He beat me in Massachusetts.
Yeah, he's like, it's like we look on the tracker, we're like, there he is,
B. Saunders. So I was just like, okay, it's on. And so we got to up near the personal needs bags, and I stopped, and he kept going. So I was like filling up my front hydration system, and I put my 2 water bottles in. I was in and out in less than a minute, and then just got right into my groove on the bike. And I don't know when I passed him, because I had to have passed him at some point. But yeah, I put my head down and just had a great second loop. So yeah, so it was me on the bike, and then it got to the run. And for the first part of the run, I really didn't have anyone. Oh, Mark from Top Gun Racing, Mark and Susanna. He had said something about me looking really good and placing really strong. I don't think he gave me my spot. But on the way back from the first loop.
So the whole first loop, pretty much the whole first loop, you don't know where you are?
No.
Do you have any idea? Like, you don't know if you're 20th or first?
No idea.
Okay.
Up until that point, no idea. The first time I learned I had something was going up on Mirror Lake Drive after all the hills, and Karen is there, and she screams, "You're in 5th." And I was like, holy shit. And she actually messaged me. She's like, I wish I had the photo of your face when you said that. When she said I was in 5th, I just was so shocked. I was so shocked. And then from that point on, it was mission hold 5th place.
So Karen was an athlete that you used to coach who was on the team, but she was there supporting, and nice. So she dropped you the first.
She did, yeah. That was huge. It was amazing. I think she was excited too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and then what were the other key moments? So
then you do the turnaround, you come back down the big hill, and you head back out on Sentinel Road, and then somewhere along there, Mark Eves, who we met in 2016 in Placid, who we've had on the podcast. He was there, and he said, do you want some stats? And I was like, sure. And he said, you're in 4th place, and you're running faster than anybody ahead of you, and you're probably going to catch 2nd place by the time you get back into town up the 2 hills. And so he gave me all that information. I was like, okay. He's like, just don't slow down. You're running faster than them by 30 to 60 seconds. You're running faster than them. You just got to keep going. So I just was...
So you had enough real estate to catch these guys?
That's what he said, yeah.
Okay.
And so my goal at that point was just don't go slower than 8-minute miles. Just don't go slower than 8, because that puts me at a 3:30 marathon. I can't go slower than a 3:30 marathon. Can't. Like, I just was committed to staying. And so I didn't stop. Normally there's moments I stop or maybe pour water on my head. I was just clicking through every aid station. Just super focused. I was really calm. I want to say I didn't get overhyped. I was just really calm, even when I was receiving this information, except for the moment when Karen gave me the split. But I felt like I was just really smooth all day. Flow, you mentioned flow earlier before we got on the mics. I guess that the whole day was flow, because I didn't really have a high or a low. It was just I was just getting to work. And I think we texted the night before, and I said, I'm punching in the clock for the job today. It's going to be a long day in the office. And I just was ready to tackle it.
Yeah. I always say the same three things to you when you race or you go out for a long ride. I just say, be safe, be strong, go do your job. And you texted me back and you said, I'm punching in at the office at 6:30 a.m. And when I woke up, because I was in Oregon, and I checked, and you were just about to finish the swim when I woke up in Oregon on the West Coast. Okay. So what's the
next check-in?
Yeah, what's the next?
I got back
moment?
to Mark, and Mark was like, 3rd place is somewhere up ahead. He's not too far.
Okay.
So I was still in fourth place at that point. So I just kept going because it's kind of like a false flat.
Yeah.
So Mark gave me those details. And so I got back into town. I ran up the big hill, the mighty hill.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not walking. And I had you in my mind saying, like, people who go to Kona, they don't walk the hills.
No.
So I ran the hill. Well, I shuffled the hill. Let's be honest. I didn't run the hill.
Yeah, your shuffle looks like my tempo pace. So
I got to almost the top of the hill. Biggest surprise. Patrick McCran from Endurance Nation is there. And I got to say, like, first of all, yeah, I'll come back. So yeah, Patrick from Endurance Nation was there, and he said, third place is up ahead. He's got a blue jersey on. He's got an orange cap, and he just walked up the hill. You just ran up. He's like, you got to go catch him. Like, you can do this. You just have to commit to it. And I set off on that little out and back, the new out and back, and finally saw the guy with the orange hat and caught him at the turnaround. And he stopped to stretch. Looked like he was hurting a little bit. And that's when because it's sort of a downhill from there back to where Patrick was at the top of the hill, I just flew. And I looked down at my watch. I was hitting like 7:10, 7-minute pace, flying down there. I was just like not going to give him a chance to catch me. And then hit that aid station, grabbed the Martin, and then got back to Patrick. And he said, I've caught so many people. I've made up so much time on the little out and back at Mirror Lake Road. You have to stay focused and you have to commit. And so I just ran up that hill, got out to Mirror Lake Drive, got to the turnaround. Scotty was out there and he said, buddy, you're in third place. Scotty DeFilippis from KISS Coaching. He's another one, magical human being who just kept popping up in all these random places on the run. Actually, because behind me about, I don't know, half a mile was one of his KISS athletes. So I'm sure he was out there helping him. But Scotty, thank you, buddy. And Patrick and Mark and Karen, like huge crew to help me. But as I did that final out and back and I'm coming back into town, I thought I had third place. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I can't lose what is mine. So even if it's fifth place, whatever, I can't lose what is mine. Half a mile to go, Mark appears. The same Mark who gave me the stats before. And he's like, second, and there's a video of this, like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's the video that you just posted as
like,
a reel.
Second place is right up there. That's second place. And so I kicked it into another gear. I don't know how. I just let go of any restriction I was having in the body in my run form. And I just ran like a kid, swung my arms. I did everything I could to swing my legs forward, breathing heavy, chasing him down. I didn't think I was getting closer, made the turn onto whatever that main street. And I'm getting closer and closer, turned into the oval, and I'm getting closer and closer, getting to the first turn of the oval. And finally he looks back and he knows that I'm coming, but he's not picking it up. I don't think I was a threat to him. He didn't think that. And I just passed him at the other turn and then took it in as fast as I could to the finish, leaving him behind. I looked back and I couldn't see him, and just really gave it my all. Caught him, passed him, thought I was in second, crossed the finish line, and just was like gassed. I gave everything for that finish. So,
but you ended up in third.
I ended up in third.
By 30 seconds.
By 30 seconds.
Which we have identified. We found that 30 seconds today. Where was it?
It was in the porta-john. As you know, I pee in my pants. And this time I decided not to pee. I don't know why.
I don't know why you went in that porta-john. Anyway,
I know why.
Why?
Well, I got off the bike and I got my bag and I'm running through the bags and ready to go into the tent. And one of the volunteers said, if you need to go to the bathroom, there's only porta-johns here. And I was like, oh, okay, bathroom.
Oh, she planted a seed.
Yeah.
Probably just trying to help you. Okay,
yeah,
so
sure.
Give us your stats, swim, bike, run. What were the times? What were your transitions? What was your final time and place?
So my final stats, I did a 10, 25, 14, which got me third place in my age group, 30 seconds shy of second place, and a couple minutes over fourth, but 30 minutes off of first place. So quite far. My swim was 105.53, which is good for the 16th fastest swim, which with my shoulder opportunities, I'm extremely stoked. Bike, 5:37.15, which was the 7th fastest bike. And then I ran a 3:30.24 for the 4th fastest run, which I have to say, I got a 30-minute PR on the course, 7-minute PR on the swim, 10-minute PR on the bike, 2 minutes away from the PR on the run on this course, and 5 minutes off my fastest Ironman ever in my life. 5 minutes off on this course. And I started my first Ironman in 2006, so 18 years ago.
And your fastest Ironman is on what course?
Ironman Santa Rosa.
Which has nothing on the elevation and the technicality and the terrain of Ironman Lake Placid.
Absolutely not. I was slower in Texas.
Okay, so folks, that's how you qualify for Kona, like getting those types of times, staying focused, dialing in your nutrition, doing the work, showing up. But I'm going to, so there's a million ways to qualify, but it's like, it's the work, it's the nutrition, it's the mindset. But what does it take, BJ? Like, what did it take on that day?
Unwavering faith and belief in yourself. A willingness to act as if you have nothing to lose. And a relentlessness to stay the course. The mantra that I've been using the past few weeks has been act as if you have nothing to lose. And it's really shifted a lot of things in the way that I approach training and racing. Willing to blow up. Willing to have my hamstring and glute blow up, willing to blow up on the bike. After that first bike loop, I was like, did I overcook myself? Did I go too hard? It doesn't matter. I just kept going. Like the run, being able to run a 7-something mile in the final half mile of a Ironman after going 139 miles, like it takes a willingness to fail. I think when you're finally willing, you've heard me talk about willing to just suffer and whatever happens. When you actually embrace that concept of acting as if you have nothing to lose, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing. What if I blew up on the run? It doesn't matter. I've already completed an Ironman. What's the difference between walking this one? There isn't. But in order to achieve those goals that we immediately deem as impossible, we must go beyond. We must transcend. And that's something I felt like I did on the day. I transcended my body. Like I transcended it. I rose above what I was feeling. And I think that's what's necessary to do those epic races, to have those performances that you can have, but you never have quite executed before. You have to transcend something, who you believe you are. And I think there was a moment on the bike that I really said I wanted to play with the big boys. Like I really wanted to feel what it was like to just put myself in what they call the hurt box and see what would happen. And surprise, surprise, I never thought I was in the hurt box to the extreme of a hurt box, but I felt like I gave a strong effort, an effort that I'm capable of, and I feel like I also have more to give.
So those qualities that you just listed off for what it takes, so that's all mindset. Yes, the physical. Yes, you got to do the workouts, but the willingness, the unwavering belief, like the resilience to keep going, as for so many, like you've qualified for Kona before, but this, like you said, like this was. And I think people can relate to this. This was the legit one. Like you earned this 3rd place. Like nobody was taking that from you. It was there for you waiting. But what it took on the day was coming from your mind to keep pushing, to be willing to blow up. And you talk a lot about 2 things. You talk a lot about momentum. And what happens when we show up for the workouts and we show up for our dreams and we nullify doubt and we keep moving forward and we feel the negative moments and we feel the atrocious races and we feel the sadness and the disappointment as we're watching others' stories play out, the one that we want to play out for ourselves, we create momentum. And when you get enough momentum, there's a tipping point and your reality changes. And that's what happened to you on Sunday. Your reality changed. The other thing you talk about, which is what I feel like you experienced, is you talk a lot about easeful efforting. And that's what I feel like you're describing. Like, I'm sure it hurt like all get out. I'm sure the effort was so difficult to maintain. But would you agree that what you executed on Sunday was easeful efforting?
Yeah. I would say that's a accurate description of what I experienced. Easeful efforting. I don't remember a moment where I was really out of breath, like panicky until that final half mile on the marathon. That doesn't mean it was easeful. It just means I was in a state of transcendence, like being able to just push the pace that I wanted, but not overcook myself. I feel like I dished out the effort appropriately. And I think that's what happens when you race smart and race to your potential. And most importantly, believe that you can do it. Because if you don't believe you can do it, what are we doing here? What are we doing? You have to be on board. You have to commit. You can't have one toe in, one toe out. You got to go to the roll downs always if you want to match yourself with that energy. Yeah, so it takes a lot. My mind was really clear and focused and strong, and I think that's a big takeaway from Texas. Texas was the contrast. It said you have a kind of a drifty mind that isn't focused, like things weren't clear, and you were kind of scattered a little bit. Placid, complete focus, and complete joy, complete flow.
One word to describe what it feels like to have the race of your life.
Fulfilling. I feel fulfilled. I feel like grateful for all that I've invested in, all that we have invested in it, into this sport. I feel grateful that on one day you can have the race of your life. And if you believe that it will happen, it will. You can't indulge too much in the evidence of now. You have to have that unwavering belief in yourself. So you got to trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself or know yourself, step one is get to know yourself. Who are you? And when you get to these Ironmans and you're doing your 21st Ironman and you're flying, like, you better know who you are. You better know who you are, because fourth place is chasing you down, coming after you. Just like I was chasing down second place. Like, there's always somebody chasing you down. Really thankful for the community of Placid. Thank you for the volunteers, and thanks for you, most importantly, and Clark. Thank you to Jessie, who opened her home to me and supported my pursuit there, and all the team members of Yogi Triathlete. And just everybody who's reached out. Like, it takes a lot to get to this point. And I'm eternally grateful. I acknowledge that. It's not done by myself. It takes community.
Well, thanks for sharing it. I think there's a lot of nuggets of gold here. If we didn't answer all the questions that you have brewing, send them to us. and Beej will tackle them one by one. But thanks so much for tuning in to this somewhat special edition. We weren't planning on doing this, but when you have the race of your life, we need to smack it down. And for all of you who have Kona dreams, and we are specifically talking about Kona, because there is something still really special about that people are really driven, and the qualifications for Kona are back, old school, legit. There's no roll down to 40, not for Kona. Those days are over. And Beej, you know how to get there. So psyched for your athletes who want the same. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here, Beej.